sudden we shut down, and there's 6 of you now joining. 7. Okay, good. So you're back on, guys. So tell us where you're from, what's going on. And then if you have no immediate questions, we've had a bunch of questions come in this week that we can rock and roll. So sorry about the technical glitches. Sometimes you can't control what's going on. All right. So basically, we had a number of questions coming on this week from YouTube. Both sides, actually. More women on Facebook, more guys on YouTube. And they were asking about the whole job sex and what the heck we're always talking about. I guess a lot of people haven't really thought about the term job sex before. And, well, it's pretty straightforward. When we talk about job sex, we talk about the kind of sex where somebody's just doing it, usually the wife, because she has to do it. It's an obligation. And so quite often that's the maybe it's something you learn from your church, something you want to do as a good wife. And the way the guys were coming in is they were really like, well, how do I stop it? How do I get into real sex again? And guys, the bottom line is simple. Just stop taking the job sex, right? If your wife was like Catherine, she just wanted to be there. She wanted to be a good wife. When we got together, we signed up and I was like, hey, I like sex 1 to 3 times a day. It was like this prerequisite. And then all these things that you see in my reels, all these things you see in my shorts where I'm just talking about automatic turnoffs and these expectations that we have as men. Well, no matter how much your wife wants to be doing her great wifely duties to submit to her husband, whatever it is that's coming across her brain, well, it's not really that much fun when you just feel like you have to do it all the time, hey?
Mm-hmm. No, it's not.
Still traumatizing her, actually, to this day.
Well, it goes far beyond job sex. I think, sure, he, before we got married, he said, I'm a 1 to 3 time per day guy. And in the beginning, that was great. I thought that was amazing. But then if you've been following our story, I wasn't really treated like the queen. I was the queen of job sex, but I wasn't really treated like the queen that I thought that I would be when I got married. So I was doing it for a lot of different reasons. Yes, I thought that I wanted to serve my husband. I wanted to be a good wife. And the church never said you have to have sex with your husband every day. The Bible says come together and come together often, which that's different for every relationship. But I was also being with him out of fear because our relationship, well, you guys have seen and read how it was. And so I felt like I had to, because I was managing my husband's emotions. I was trying to cause him to be nicer to me, which we all know if you've been sucked into job sex, you hate it even more than your husband does, because you're either doing it because you feel like you have to, you want to please your husband, but you're not enjoying it, or you're doing it to shut your husband up because he's been complaining, to make him be nice to you because he's yelling at you. God forbid we didn't have physical abuse, but maybe you're having sex with him because you're trying to avoid physical abuse. That is super toxic, and you need to see a therapist if that's what's happening. But yeah, we've been getting a lot of questions, and I'm not the video person here, so I'll just step in when I'm asked a question. But
well, let me address some of the men that have been. First of all, Jill, thanks for that about the videos. Yeah, you know what? We're doing our best to reach everybody as fast as we can. I don't know what your story was, but a lot of people are coming together as they read more of our content, they see more of our content. People always say, is it, if we're together, separate, divorced, will it work? Well, you possibly can. You gotta do the work. You got to work on you. And the more you get to know us, I focus on men doing their thing, Catherine on women doing her thing. And then you never know what can happen. Or maybe it is too far gone for you guys. I'm not sure. But yeah, a lot of men were really, well, like, I just can't stand it. Like in almost every call I get on with a guy is like, I just want her to want me. So wives, if you're watching this, yeah, understand that that's what men want. They want you to want them. But also what men, you need to understand is that if she doesn't want to do it, if she's not actually engaged in the process, she's just doing it because she has to, well, then it's never really going to be what you're looking for. And i.e., she wants it less than you. She really wants job sex less than you. Pity sex sucks, right? She wants to actually want to be with her partner. And hey, Paul, what are you laughing at there, buddy?
He said hi, haha.
I know, that's what.
I think he's laughing at himself saying hi.
I figured, Paul. Why don't you give us a statement, Paul? Paul, I know Paul pretty well. He's a good guy. Paul, tell us your favorite part about your growth and your journey, dude.
I'm going to interject while Paul's typing. So, and if you're a woman, on the same note, he was just saying if you're a man and, everything that he just said, if you're a woman and you don't want to be with your husband, there's nothing abnormal about that. There's things that you can do to fix it, but there's nothing wrong with you if you're not desiring your husband. It's probably not something that's actually wrong with you. You might think you're asexual. You might think it's hormonal. You might blame it on having a baby. You might blame it on being tired. And all of those things are valid and real. But there's bigger things going on. And so it's normal. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't want to have sex with your husband. The majority of wives, actually, I think almost all of the wives that I work with, I'll say the majority, I'll say 90% of the wives that I work with, they don't want to be intimate. And we get to the bottom of it and we fix it, but it's not an easy place to be, especially when, I don't know what your husbands are like, but you used to ask me, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want me? Why, like, nothing turns you on. There's something, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. I started to think maybe there was something wrong with me because I was being told there was something wrong with me, but there isn't. There wasn't. And same with you. There is nothing wrong with you. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed in your marriage, but it's not just all on you.
You know, along those lines, I think it's really interesting because I'm actually putting out a long form content on YouTube in the next couple of days that's actually talking about all the things that your wife will say to you when she doesn't want to have sex. You know, I'm too tired. I'm not in the mood. I have a headache. I think I'm asexual. There's a list of like 12 or 14 of them. And you know what? They're pretty common. They go into a few categories and they all end up with one. I won't tell you, so you have to watch the long form. But the bottom line is they stack on top of each other. She's giving you a reason why she doesn't want to have sex, but that's not what she's saying. When you understand what it is, you know, we call it an excuse. Another excuse, she doesn't want to have sex with me. So you have these talks, and like what Catherine was saying, where I used to throw in her face, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want sex? What would turn you on? And we think about these things like blowing on your ear and kissing on her neck. And Catherine always thinks that's hilarious when I say,
yeah, nobody, no woman.
I'm not even blowing on her ear.
No, yeah,
it's not working. But
doesn't work.
It's just how I
think that's hilarious.
But you know, we always get. Oh, see, for me it does. Okay, I'm good. We got to shut this baby down. But here's the thing, like. These are all reasons for a woman, but they are excuses for a man when we hear them. And so they're no longer something that we can comprehend. What you need to understand, dudes, is that when you let it click, when you understand what she's truly saying. So let me just give you a quick example. If she says she's too tired, that could mean a couple of things. It could mean she actually is too tired. That means maybe you're not doing enough around the house to take part in what needs to be done, the responsibilities, whether that's the home life, whether that is with the kids. You need to be an actual partner, right? She feels like a roommate. She's doing it alone. She feels like a mom or a maid, okay? But what I'm too tired could also mean is that you're not exciting her enough. You're not actually doing things that are making her feel like she's energetic. If you're kind of tired after your long day, I want to sit on the couch, you're not inspiring her. Is there health issues? Do you guys need to be working out? Do you guys need to be feeling a little bit better? Is there medication issues? Health will take care of medication half the time, guys. There's so many other facets. So again, watch the long form on YouTube when it comes out. But what you think she's saying is not what she means. And women, when you're saying it, I've deciphered it. I get it now. You mean it, but you don't mean it. And quite often it's just, maybe it means you just don't even want to have a talk about sex again. So it's pretty crazy. Let me see here if we can see more. He cheated. He got, oh yeah, that sucks. So Jill said that he cheated. That's why they ended it. And she splits Phil. And that's a tough one. You know, I take a really hard approach to cheating. I think it sucks. We've never done the cheating thing with our marriage. I've had a lot of cheating in my past relationships, but I can really understand it like this. If
they cheated on you,
they cheated on me. Sorry. Yeah.
And he's as loyal can be.
Absolutely. Thank you, baby. But, you know, I'll tell you what, I used to be bitter about cheating. And it's one of the reasons I brought so much insecurity into the marriage with Catherine. And, you know, I can tell you this, after learning everything that I've learned now, and especially after working with so many men, if somebody's cheating, you have to look at it like, why aren't they looking at you? So I can look back at those past relationships, and I know almost all of them cheated. There were a handful that didn't. And I can tell you this, I caused a lot of that. I wasn't showing up as a good person, as a good man, as somebody that I was even proud of. Now, does that justify somebody cheating? Hey, Jill, absolutely not. He cheated. That's terrible. But I just want you to evaluate so that in the next relationship that you're doing everything that you can so that you don't have that same sort of thing happen. If you're doing your best and they still cheat, that's something that you can't control. But everybody knows the rules in marriage. So while you're wasting time lecturing on cheating and blaming and doing all this, you got to always ask yourself, hey, man, why weren't they looking at me? That'd be my best advice I could give you on that. Because if you're your best and they still cheat, then definitely they're wrong. But if they're wrong and you're wrong because you weren't your best, well, you still just got to only own you because that's the only person that you can take care of, can control, right? Thanks, Paul. So Paul's saying he's realized what he truly wants in life because I nailed the situation. Thanks. Yeah, Paul is actually my favorite client. So if you're watching this and you're one of my clients, Paul's actually my absolute favorite, so you have to work hard to keep up with him. And that's because Paul took every little bit of advice I ever gave him and he just put it to work, but it didn't start that way. I remember in the beginning, I was like, dude, you need to do X, Y, Z. And he didn't do it. And I was like, dude, you need to do X, Y, Z. And then he didn't do it. And then I said, dude. And he goes, I know, X, Y, Z. And when you got to work, dude, man, you leveled up. This guy is a 12. No, you're 25, man. You're a freaking awesome dude. So anyways, thanks for
I wanted to tell Paul something since he's here.
Yeah.
So Paul, you sent a couple of little fake construction jackets for the girls, a pink jacket with like orange reflective and a yellow jacket with orange reflective. Well, we went to do a rabbit rescue because, I like to rabbit. I like to rabbit. I like to. Well,
she likes to rabbit. Oh, yeah.
But I like to rescue animals. And there's a loose domestic rabbit in our neighborhood. And so we went to try to get it. And Vale wanted to wear just the jacket that you bought her, Paul, with nothing else. So we did make her put pants on and boots, but she wanted to wear was underwear and the jacket that you gave her. So thanks for that. That's how much she loves it.
We tried to get a picture for you, Paul, but she was busy. We were busy.
We were trying to go get the rabbit. Yeah. Oh, I did get a picture.
Oh, did you? Okay, we'll send it to Paul. All right. So we have a Facebook user that says they've done the cheating. It sucks. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You guys, absolutely. When you cheat, I put out a reel recently that's doing pretty well. When you cheat, it's based on your insecurities. If you're not doing the things that you need to do, you're trying to go find what you need from someone else when the person that you love is right in front of you. And I want you guys to understand this. I want to put a reel out about this, but I'm having a hard time putting it together. So I've got a little bit longer here. Let me explain it to you. It's a blip in time. You're unhappy right now in your relationship, whatever it is you're going through. You want to figure it out. It's a blip in time. And
there you go, Paul.
There's a picture, Paul. It's real. And so a lot of you guys are going to try to find emotional connections with somebody, physical connections with somebody. Some of you go way too far and you justify it. But the justification comes because you're upset and you're defensive. So I appreciate that you recognize that it's not worth it. What I want you to do is think about it like this. If you're on the fence and you want to cheat, don't. I mean, everybody knows the rules and you know that you shouldn't cheat and you know you can put the work in and you can blame them, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? But at the end of the day, you will never feel good for that if you can do something about it. And ultimately, it goes back to what I said. If you feel like cheating, your partner, they probably aren't doing it for you. They're not attracted to you anymore. So if you feel like cheating, I challenge you to do this. Why don't you try to level up in a way that inspires your partner so that they want to get attracted? So you don't find them attractive. Maybe they're kind of lazy. Okay, so stop being so lazy yourself and inspire them to do more. You think they're not fun with dating? Cool, no problem. Do more with the dating. Get them going. Oh, well, they don't really reciprocate and they're not having a lot of fun with that. Like they kind of stonewall me and shut me down. They tell me I'm a loser and I make jokes. Just make more jokes. Have more fun. It doesn't work. Turn to the kids and sing the songs to them and the jokes to them. Have some fun with them. There's only so much awesome that you can present before they they have to follow. Okay. And yeah, I appreciate your honesty, Andy, but dude, we're past that. You're growing, you're moving. Okay. Jill, so true. The only actions I can control are your own, and you're with somebody else. That's awesome. That's awesome. And yes, that's right. You can only control you. So if you can learn from the experiences, again, we know that your ex-partner, did something wrong and they cheated. But if you can own everything that you did wrong and say, hey, whatever I did actually caused them to cheat. Obviously, that's not true. They made a bad choice. But if you can own it like that, then you will give your new partner no reason to ever want to look the other way. You just become the best partner that you could ever be because you're your best for yourself. So I think that's awesome. Bring your questions, guys. Any more questions at all? We'd love to hear them. And we want to get you guys riled up. We want to get you going here. We want to get some controversy going back and forth because this is a hot topic that people aren't talking about. And we want to bring truths to what relationships, what marriage is all about, because anybody can quit. Anybody can get divorced. Anybody can say it's over, do the cheating thing we've been talking about a little bit tonight, guys, and it sucks. Anybody can settle. Well, you were going to settle. I would say you were a fan of settling, even though you weren't.
Yeah, I think what happens sometimes in marriage is that you get married and you think that your life is going to be something that you imagined. And then when it isn't, you end up not wanting to leave, tolerating more than you thought you'd ever tolerate. Can you look at me on the screen instead of?
Oh, she's so pretty. It's so small over here.
Oh, it's just, I can feel you looking at me. I hate being on camera and I can just feel the eyes burning into me. Anyway, I think so. You don't want to leave. You don't want to rip your family apart. You keep thinking things are getting better. And so you have children or you get pregnant. And then you definitely don't want to rip your family apart once you add more people to your family. And so you settle on settling. And so it's something that you probably told yourself you would never do. You deserve better. You know, Cass and I had different ideals about marriage. When we got married, he had been through so much that he said, I don't even care if I marry an ugly girl. I just want someone that's nice.
What? Whew.
I
out.
felt differently. I said, I just always wanted an attractive man. I got one. Thank goodness.
Hello.
Yes. But when it comes to settling in other areas, you get locked in, and marriage, you are locked in. Of course you can get out if you really want to, but that's not the goal. And so you do, I would say I settled on settling because I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want to be in the situation that I was in, but I also didn't want to do anything about it that was going to cause, divorce or separation. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think that was a really wicked way to say that. Like, I settled on settling. I think that a lot of people, it's so easy just to coast, right? You know, people will talk about how it's easy to get divorced. It's not easy. Let's be honest. It costs more. It's painful. Excuse me, you're tearing the family apart. That's not easy. And it's incredibly easy to settle. People will say it's not easy to settle. They'll say, no, it's terrible. Why? Because you're fighting, you're angry, you're insecure, you don't feel good, you're not happy. I always say, choose your hard, right? It's going to be hard work to level up and become the kind of spouse that you need to be, somebody you're proud of. It's going to be hard work to wait for your wife. I waited for a long time for Catherine, a long time. Granted, she waited for years prior before I was ready to grow up, right? You know, we fell fast and we fell hard. And then we put ourselves through the poop to try to get there. But you choose your hard, because we could have left more times than probably most marriages would have in such a short time. Within 4 years, hundreds and hundreds of times. And I think people forget that we're coming up this Friday is 8 years since we met. And sometimes people say, oh, how do you know so much? It's 8 years. Because we literally have 50 years of shit, abuse, and hurtfulness in those first 4 years. Yeah, there was lots of great stuff. But because we were focused on that, we were able to get where we are right now. So I hope that makes sense.
And it was so bad. Like, we talk about it really lightly because we're on the other side. And sure, he did have to wait a long time for me, but those first 4 years were really, really bad. And a lot of the women that I talk to, they get to the same point that I got to. They are exhausted. They are ready to throw in the towel. And that's kind of where I was. I wasn't really 100% ready to throw in the towel because I was pregnant with twins. Thank God I was pregnant with twins, because I got to the point where I had it. And I work with a lot of women. They're in the exact same spot. They say, I wish I would have left 3 years ago. I wish that I would have left before I got pregnant. What am I doing bringing children into this world? All the same things that I thought of. It's because I kept thinking it was going to get better. I wasn't in the same relationship over and over again. This was the first time I experienced anything like this. And so by the time I got pregnant and I had it, well, now I felt like, well, now I can't get out. And thank goodness I couldn't get out. I mean, I could have if I wanted to, but nobody wants to separate their family, especially no mother-to-be or mother that already has children. Nobody wants to do that. Dads too, but especially mothers. When you carry that baby, or babies in my case for 9 months, you want them to have, you meet them and you want them to have that dad. You want them to have that family, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It doesn't really matter. But the point is that I work with women that say the exact same thing that I said. You get so far in and you're exhausted and you're frustrated, and then you get stuck, and then you get more stuck, and then you get more stuck. But the women that I work with are thankful that they got stuck. I'm thankful that I got stuck, because it forced me into doing the work that it took to get our marriage where it needed to be, and also getting myself personally where it needed to be. Because I wasn't an angel in the first 4 years. I turned into somebody that I didn't even recognize. I was retaliating. I had anger management issues that came out of the woodwork that I didn't even know I had. Granted, if I look back to my past, there were glimmers of things that of course I needed to fix, but nobody challenged me enough to fix them. So for 4 years, I tolerated a lot of abuse. But there were moments that I was abusive right back, in retaliation, in defense, in protection of myself. But I wasn't proud of the woman that I had become. And so, yes, I got stuck at the 4-year mark because I was pregnant with twins. He had to wait for me because at that point I said, I'm done. you're ugly to me. Your personality has made you completely ugly. You're abusive. I can't believe I've tolerated this. Sorry, honey. Even the most handsome man in the world can be ugly to you.
That's what you used to say.
Yeah.
How could somebody so sexy to me be so ugly?
Be so ugly.
Yeah.
And because I was stuck, I put the work in, and I didn't actually. I was so checked out because I was so angry. I was pregnant. I was hormonal. I was sick. I was entitled. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that, because I think that you are entitled to have a good marriage. You are entitled to not be abused. You are entitled to have a good father to your children. You are entitled to that. That is normal. Is it average? No, because so many relationships are crap. And so it's not average, and it might not be the norm, but it should be normal. That should be the standard, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So by the time that happened and I shut down, I felt he started making changes because he didn't want to lose me. He didn't want to lose the girls. And he started making changes, and I just sat back and basically, okay, feed me grapes then, because I didn't feel like I needed to do anything. And I focused on the babies. I focused on my pregnancy, which again, it's not abnormal to do that, but I was so checked out that it hurt him so badly, because for someone with an anger management issue, it was really difficult for him to make those changes. Excuse me. And so he kind of put the work in, tried. And finally things blew up again 2 years later when I was pregnant with Riddick. And that's when I said, okay, I better make some changes now, because he's been putting in work for 2 years. It wasn't perfect. It was up and down. Nobody with an anger management problem is going to be perfect. So when you listen to our story, if you're thinking my husband would never flip on a switch, turn on a dime, he did, but he also backslid a lot. We both did. We had horrible things happen in that 2 year mark between when I was pregnant with the girls and pregnant with Riddick. It wasn't until the pregnancy with Riddick that we really, I was on a show the other day and I said, our marriage lit up. We actually made that change. And so it's not a quick fix. There's real work that needs to be put in. And yes, I waited for him for 4 years, and then I checked out. And then he waited for me for 2 years. And when I started making to make changes, he wasn't super impressed. He didn't believe that I was going to make these changes. He said, well, where were you for the last 2 years when I was making these changes? But then he started to believe that it was real. He started to see the changes that I was making. And then with both of us making changes, which is the benefit of what we teach, we can teach both of you at the same time and avoid you 6 years of mayhem or more. You guys have probably, a lot of you have been in more. But
let's talk about that for a second, because I get asked that all the time. In fact, last week, I think it was 4, it might have been 5 guys that called me up. The reason for the call was specific. It was, man, I'm trying. I'm working so hard. And this could be because they're working with me. This could be because they're just watching reel after reel. They're trying so hard, and they're like, man, she's just not coming around. Or there's sometimes like things are going great, but now she's back to work. For example, one husband, his wife was a teacher, back to work after the holidays, right? And so now it's like back to normal. And let's talk about that. So Catherine and I, like, it was a push-pull for so long. And, when we talk about our story and we talk about it being great since 4 years ago, you have to understand what we mean by that. Great for me, when I describe that, is that we weren't fighting every single day anymore. And every time it went from, in the beginning, from every 3 days, every 4 days, every week, 2 weeks, a month, these are all victories. So people are calling us up and they're like, oh my gosh, I just want to quit. My partner's not coming around. You have to start looking at some of these victories. Like, if you used to fight every single day, or you're having 3-day fights and now they're 1-day fight and now they're 3 days apart, these are victories. You are winning. You are working hard. You guys need to focus, because it's always a push-pull until you both are all in. And the amount of times somebody's in, like both of you in a relationship, are going to be like, yeah, let's go to therapy and we're going to do this thing together. We're going to be a team. We're going to make this thing happen. Usually somebody's full of shit. Truth. Okay. Usually somebody's full of shit. You might have the best intentions. She had the best intentions. I had the best intentions for 4 years. Oh yeah, anger's no problem. Yes. Now I would say that for the 2 years that she's talking about, my intentions were extremely honorable. But no matter what, everybody has a breaking point. Why do you think I spent so much time, maybe not in the reel, but in the description, saying you can only own you? Who are you proud to be? Because let me tell you something right now. If I lose my shit right now, whether it's on my wife, my children, the animals that are running around. In fact, the other day, I got really upset. There's pee everywhere. We had a major day with animals and children peeing in a house. Like, it was crazy. I was crazy. I was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, there's pee everywhere. Okay. But at the end, I have to stop and look and be like, I don't want to be freaking out. My kids don't understand. I had to talk to Catherine. She to remind me, nope, Vale's not peeing on the floor on purpose, right? Like sometimes, and that's what you guys have to do as partners, because sometimes when you're in and you're out, whether that's for a little bit of anger, whether it's all in for the marriage, whatever it is, that's where you guys need to come together. And that you've done a really good job when you work with women, talking to them about that.
And Jill, yes, I do work with women. I do sessions with just women. So if you find me on Facebook, if you have me on Facebook, add me, send me a message. Love to chat.
Yeah, it's really important to understand. So Catherine works with the wives, I work with the husbands, and very seldom do we come together and talk about each of you.
And we've never worked with a couple together. We believe that. So yes, I think what I said was we have the tools to be able to do it so that you can get there faster. But I work with women, and 90% of the time you can get results without your husband being involved at all. Same with him.
100%. Yes.
We do have a small percentage of people who, when I work with someone, the husband will go and work with Cass, and vice versa. Mostly not at all. I work with women exclusively, and their husbands never work with Cass. Some of them do. Some of them have access to the program. They never use it. The changes.
It's so uncommon for
the
a
change.
man. Yeah.
The changes in their marriage happen because I coach the woman by herself, and she literally game changes the marriage. Same with Cass. When he works with men, he causes that game changer.
Yeah, almost always the men that I work, their wives don't even know. In fact, one of the very first modules in my course, it tells you, should I tell your wife, or should I tell my wife or not? And I tell you, well, probably not. She wants a guy who just knows how things should be, And the reality is, yeah, because so many women follow me on Facebook, a lot of men come to me. So we'll have conversations about that. But at the end of the day, no matter what, it's less talk, more action. Doesn't matter if you're working with Catherine and you're a wife, you're working with me, it's a man. Less talk, more action. Get to work. Show up. Nobody cares what you have to say. Everybody cares what you follow through on. So you guys have to really understand. Go back to this, ties in perfectly to that push-pull that we were talking about. If one partner's in, then your actions are the only thing that you have, because your words, nobody cares. That's it. I could tell Catherine all day long that I'm not going to yell again. And at the end of the day, I might not have called names for 3 fights. I did a reel on that this week, or this day, yesterday or today. I didn't call her names for 3 days, 5 days, a week, whatever. And I'm pissed because she doesn't understand. Why isn't she getting it? I'm totally different. I'm not calling names. Just because I didn't call her a bitch or a cunt today, just because I didn't say divorce today, didn't mean that I didn't say it 4,000 times before, which is why no matter how much I'm in, she doesn't necessarily feel in on that part. And so if you guys can start to wrap your head around this a little bit, you can give your partner a whole lot more grace, a whole lot more empathy, and show up where you need to show up. Okay, another example would be tonight. Because a lot of all my reels, they say sex in them, right? Okay, if you want more sex with your wife, and we try our darndest to make sure that our kids don't hear that while we're working, right? Because we're on and off our phones with the work, depending on the schedule. And Catherine said something to me like, okay, it keeps coming up tonight, and I said, a lot of...
Honey, I'm hearing the word sex, S-E-X, on repeat a lot. And I said, it's super gentle.
Yeah, and I actually was so frustrated with how things were going with just trying to get uploads done. I'm trying to edit more on YouTube. I'm trying to get more, whatever. See what's happening there? It's all the justification in my brain why it's okay that I snapped back at Catherine and said, okay, listen, I hear your phone all the time when you're playing my reels and blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. Anyways, 5 minutes later, I walked up to her and said, listen, I'm really sorry. That has nothing to do with you. I'm seriously overwhelmed and focused on a bunch of crap. Anyways, forget it. There, I'm defending myself again. Nothing to do with you.
And what I said what he said was, there's nonsense on your reels all day long, and same sort of thing. And so
prior in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I said was, in the beginning. And what I said was, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Right?
Yeah.
Did you hear anything else except for that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm asking, is that what it came across to you?
Oh,
when I reacted?
No, listen, honestly, right away, all I got was, oh shit, I shouldn't have handled that way. But I was trying to finish my work, and then I came to you and apologized.
Mm-hmm. My question was, I'm making sure that your perception of what I said was what you perceived.
Yeah, you literally just said, I didn't realize that I was she heard everything that I said, full of empathy. I didn't realize that I was actually doing the same thing that I'm giving you, quote unquote, crap for. Okay. Not that she was giving me crap, because she was super empathetic. She's understanding where I'm at and who I am and what I'm doing. Right.
So the reason I wanted to say that was because we use, and I said this in the last live, we use very different methodologies with how we teach. And one thing that's really important to recognize is that I'm an academic. I am a student through and through. If I can learn it, I'm going to learn it to the highest level possible, and then I'm going to be able to teach it.
Not this boy down here. No, sir, not me. No.
Embody it and teach it. But he is a visionary. So he thinks of different things that oftentimes other people haven't thought of. And so some of the things that you'll learn in my program, the reason that it's better than what other people might teach you is because of the way that I embody it and I teach it. The reason that his program is going to work for men is because it's honestly like he's been developing his own stuff since he was a teenager. And he's got this amazing mind. And so he comes up with these amazing things.
She's not wrong, but
yeah, he comes up with these amazing things that are incredible. And there might not be anything behind it. There's lots behind it now because I've been coaching for almost 2 years. I've been coaching for like 20 years, but in this specific aspect with marriage, almost 2 years for me and over 2 years for you. And so you won't, some of the stuff that he does, you're not going to be able to find it. There haven't been a lot of research documents and developments on it yet. Whereas what I do, it's because I've learned everything that's already been done. I've put it all together in my own way and I can teach it like nobody else. And so we do things very, very differently, but the way that we correspond with each other is the way that we're going to teach you to correspond with each other. And for women, one of the major things that happens is defensiveness. Like when he's obviously, the word sex shouldn't be coming up around our 3-year-olds,
obviously.
And so like when I said, honey, and I'm very gentle, honey, the word sex is being on repeat. And he got very defensive. It's not on repeat. You see my phone, it's on mute and it just blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm so
handled it poorly.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I hear nonsense on your phone all day long. He didn't say I hear my own reels on repeat all day long. He said, I hear nonsense on your phone all day long. And so I took a step back and said, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. And I also understood where he was coming from. So there's different dynamics in relationships that you need to be aware of. And I'm not going to roll over and just take abuse. He wasn't abusing me. I understood where the frustration was coming from. That was not the moment for me to say, listen, my point of not having sex in the conversation is valid. That wasn't the time for me to tell him that. I just said, okay, well, if I'm doing that wrong too, okay, I get that. Also, I could see his frustration. I see he's stressed about something. And then I just owned it. And then he came back and gave me a big hug and said, so sorry, that has nothing to do with you. It's about X, Y, and Z. And, he's going to teach it a little bit differently. It's always easier seeing it from the outside.
Well, and here's the thing. So this doesn't mean that a woman should just roll over when her man starts to, go off. I went a little off. Okay. Now, the bottom line is this, though. It depends on the circumstance. There are plenty of times where the roles would be completely reversed. Now, we don't handle it the exact same way, but I don't want you to think that, okay, I'm a woman, I have to just put up with my husband's poop. Absolutely not. But what Catherine did was she just allowed me to feel the frustration and the anxiety of what I was trying to get done with this new, this editing, whatever, the stressful thing that I was going through, and allowed me to feel it. And then within 3 to 5 minutes or whatever it was, probably closer to 5, like she said, she's better with the time than I am. Then I just came to her and was, I'm so sorry. Right. And I evaluated quickly.
But hold on. And it wasn't about me rolling over and just taking anything. If he was right, but that's not what it was about. So yes, I will always encourage you when that comes at you. You don't want to be defensive. I took ownership of what he said. If it was valid or not, I took ownership, saying I'm not sure. And I could use different verbiage right now, which I'm not going to use. I'm not going to take this and make it a huge teaching moment. But if I want to be heard, me freaking out back, he freaked out. I heard him, but that's because I've worked on hearing him when he has already taken it from 100 to a 10. If I would have freaked out back, he wouldn't have heard a word that I said. But because I said, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I was doing that. And then I said nothing else. If he didn't apologize, it would have been a conversation later when he's not feeling frustrated, where I could have brought it to him and I said, hey, I really felt attacked when blah, 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 blah. That's not the moment to do it. If you do it in that moment, you can guarantee that your point is not going to get across. But just all little pieces of the puzzle if you want to be heard by your husband. And
I think it goes both ways. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, you're really upset. Let's go back to the example that we used earlier. Well, my wife's just not understanding. I'm making all these changes and she keeps just throwing my face that it's not real. And she's just blah. She's not letting me have any fun. She's angry. Okay. So that's cool. Let her feel it. I say in my course, love her through it. The reality is, if she's down on the floor bleeding out, are you going to put a Band-Aid on her? Are you going to give her open heart surgery? Well, right now she's hurting from whatever she's hurting. In this case, for me and Catherine today, it was me going through whatever I have to go through with work, and it was stressing me out. She just understands who I am with a working mind, how I am expressing emotions, and what I felt with who I am and the work that I do with how I felt attacked. And she was there for me. She loved me through it. She just doesn't describe it that way in her course. That's just what I do with men. So a lot of the stuff that we do is the same, but you just have to understand when you're presenting it to your partner, you're going to have to find your own balance, right? Remember when we talked about insecurity all the time? You used to say that. I used to get so insecure about everything, and she would play this little game with me, which we don't teach, by the way. If you're not experienced, do not perform this at home. But hey, I love you, but I'm insecure. Mm-hmm. Right?
I love you, but I'm scared, or I love you, but I'm insecure. Yeah. And it came from the fact that he was questioning me to like the third degree anytime I went anywhere, anytime I did something. And so I can't remember where I was going that day. And it was something about, I think I was following him in his truck and I disappeared for a minute. I don't know if I stopped. I probably stopped to buy candy. Like it was something.
She does love her candy.
I do love candy. So I probably stopped to buy candy. All of a sudden he couldn't see me in his rearview mirror, and he's wondering, or we were late to go to work, and he thought, oh, that's what it was. Somebody at the gym. Oh, so-and-so, we got to the gym and then so-and-so got there late. And I was late because I stopped to get candy. And he was like, they were probably having a tryst in the parking lot and whatever it was. And I said, honey, it's okay. People need to hear this because the women that I coach are going through this.
Well, yeah. And a lot of the men that I coach, like, you can't help it. If your wife doesn't want you, you're insecure.
And it's okay.
It might not be this level, but there's insecurities.
But it is though. Yeah. It's your level and beyond. And if you're acting like you act like a complete lunatic, not just you. I'm talking to all of the men that are watching this. Anybody that watches this, if you're relating to this, you're acting like a lunatic, but it's because it's stemming from somewhere that your wife needs to learn how to have empathy for that. And so I had a lot of it in me, but I actually took a really major course at the end of 2020 with an amazing marriage coach. And that's what really put me over the edge. But the point is that I ended up having it was like almost like a code word, but not for like a fun code word during a sexual escapade like you've heard of. But
which
a code
is way
word.
More fun, by the way. We can talk about that another day.
But when he was getting into these states of mind, if he felt like accusing me, because I said, I'm not doing anything wrong. I am loyal. I'm not cheating. I'm not doing anything like that. So when you feel like I'm doing that, you need to say, honey, I love you and I'm feeling insecure, or I love you and I'm feeling scared. Because when he comes at me, like, where were you? You were obviously with what's his name out in the parking lot doing it before you came into class. You were like, there were some things that like he would question me on that it was out of this world. But you have to realize that when you are the partner of a person that has gone through the kind of trauma that my husband has gone through, that is going to happen. And so learning to empathize and learning to help them, you don't have to tolerate abuse. I tolerated way more abuse than I needed to. However, because I didn't have the tools in my toolbox that I have now. But learning how to relate, so not relate, but empathize and validate, like, I'm sorry you're feeling that way, but you're going to have to express something differently to me. So if you feel like I'm out cheating, if I came home, I had a curfew in the first few years of our marriage. We will talk about that a different day. But like one time I came home a half an hour late or something, and he was like, what were you doing for the last 30 minutes? Well, I was still with my friends. Like, what did you think I was doing? And so it would come into a fight because I'd be like, I would get defensive. Like, what could I be doing? I was up half an hour late. Like, where do you think I was? But because we didn't have all the tools then, so that I love you, but I'm insecure isn't the right tool, but it's what helped us. And so, honey, I love you, but I'm feeling insecure. You came home 30 minutes late, and I thought we had the agreement that you come home at 10. I agreed to come home at 10. So I can't respond with, well, you're fucked to tell me come home at 10. I can't respond that way. I have to say, honey, I just actually got wrapped up with my friends. The person that was driving me home had an extra drink. And so I had another drink, and it was, there's nobody else there that you didn't know about, or, so-and-so's boyfriend came, but it was safe. Thank you for telling me that you feel insecure, but I'm here for you. And I promise you that nothing bad happened. Big hug. Thank you for telling me that you felt insecure. Not, you're such a crazy person for even thinking, when do I have time to be out cheating? Where would I be? Well, because then he could answer, well, you're half an hour late. That's where you have time. Where could you be? Well, you could be anywhere in that half an hour. Don't ask those stupid questions, because if you weren't out cheating, you weren't out cheating. Love your husband and help him feel secure. It isn't going to be for the rest of your life that you have to do this.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like the amount of men that talk about this, and I'm sure it's the same with you, but the amount of men that talk about, like, when will the insecurities go away? I just want, you got to understand, guys, when your wife is like, hey, honey, I'm changing, and she opens up her towel for a quick show, when she's all over you all the time, when you're giving that, all these guys are physical touch with the 5 love languages. Yeah, duh, no secret, and she's touching your face and telling you what she loves you. You don't feel insecure when she's when she's looking at you across the room from a party, when she's throwing in, but your doodah's that's what they call me, not dad, doodah. When your doodah's the best doodah in the world. These are all little things where she's telling you how much she loves you. So you don't have to worry about the insecurity. The insecurity goes away. And this goes both ways, I'm sure. This is what you tell your wives too. If they have, I don't know if wives has many insecurity issues. In my side of things, it's because guys are just based on this fucking thing with sex, right? Guilty, you get it, right? But when you love your partner through it, and men, you just have to do it differently, right? Women, if women don't have the insecurity issues, see, we don't really talk about the men and the woman. We're just completely different, right? So, if that's how you're handling your man, well, men, you just got to do things differently for your wife too. You can't expect her to always be getting you through it. And that's what fucked us up a lot. I mean, we played that little game for a while.
No, I disagree. I think that as a wife, you always have to help your husband. This is the most important.
That's not what I mean.
You said you can't expect her to always be getting you through it.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
I'm sorry. This can't go on for years, though, gentlemen.
It should evolve and change.
That's right.
No matter what you're going through, your wife should be there for you.
Yeah.
But this thing should become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it may become something else, but it shouldn't be something that makes you act like a lunatic. And if you are a lunatic, I'm sorry if you take offense to that. Go to the doctor.
Well, if you are feeling like you're taking offense to it, then you've got to dig deep. Again, there's nobody who's not having sex with their wife that's not feeling some level of insecurity, especially if you're a great provider. Especially if people look up to you in life and you're a good leader, then yeah, you're probably feeling pretty insecure because your wife doesn't feel like that. I talked to a man recently, way over in the UK or South Africa, one or the other, I can't remember. And he was so angry because he's trying so hard. It's the one with the teacher wife. Can't understand. He's got 2 businesses and he's working so hard. He's keeping the morale up everywhere. And he has to do it at home too. And he's pissed. I'm sorry. So you have to keep the morale up at 2 businesses all day long, and you're upset because the business of life, your personal life, is frustrating you. Fuck the businesses. You guys have to start evaluating what's important to you in life. Now, I love business. Don't get me wrong. I love to work. I'm an entrepreneur. I like to get going. But come on, what's the most important thing? If you can keep the morale up at work, then you can keep the morale up at home. And this is what some people forget. You stop showing up. You just sit on the couch and say, I'm too tired after a long day. And this is both sides, guys, by the way.
Or you didn't show up. You didn't know how.
And that's fair.
He was a different person at work than he was at home.
Yeah, that's true.
Until he learned to be somebody different. And so that's why he can speak with such authority, because he went through it. He was a different person at work. And then he was a complete asshole. He was a lunatic. I thought he was a sociopath. I thought he was a psychopath sometimes.
I acted a teeny bit different than you see on. Yeah.
So the reason he speaks like this is because he went from acting like we are describing and being a different person at home and, being self-conscious, being insecure, being, worrying about everything about me and having no self-confidence and no authority, to now having full authority at home. And I don't mean he has authority over me. We're not getting into the leadership debate because we both lead this home, but absolutely he has authority. When he speaks, he has authority because he's speaking from a confident, loving place. He, if I'm having a bad day, then he can make my day better. If the girls are Riddick doesn't have bad days. If the girls have a bad day. Well,
he's going through a whole mama phase right now. Oh, geez, if mama leaves.
If I leave, he's having a bad day. Yeah.
And sorry, please proceed.
Yeah. So anyway, So if we're having a bad day, then he knows that he needs to pull his socks up and help us. Where in, 6 years ago, he wouldn't have been able to do that. So he could do it at work. And that was one thing that was frustrating for me, was at work. He was nice to everybody. And I remember thinking, why can't you just be nice to me?
I remember you saying that.
The way that you're nice to them.
So nice to everybody else.
Why are you so nice to them? And then it was
like I shut it off when I got home because we get
as soon as nobody could hear him, the sneering and the snide comments to me when nobody could hear. I just didn't understand. Why are you so nice to her? She's not sleeping with you. And I was sleeping with him every day, trying to keep him happy, trying to keep him nice to me. Why are you so nice to her? You're getting nothing from her, like a membership payment. Why is that so important to you? So he's speaking, and I've said this a couple of times, and I feel like it's really important. He's speaking with authority right now, because you can't just shut it off when you get home. If you're running 2 businesses and you're frustrated when you get home because your teacher wife is exhausted because she just got home from work, well, you're doing it. You're giving away half of your energy or 90% of your energy. Well, you better dig deep to bring that 10% and bring that to a 90%, because your life is going to suck if all you're focused on.
Can I add?
Yes, of course.
That's like, also I saw a meme, or maybe you sent it to me, I can't remember, but it was today I saw it, and it was this mom who's washing dishes with a kid on her shoulder and talking on the phone. And it's like, it was a study. I don't know if he's, well, yeah, it actually probably should have been, but she was brunette. Otherwise I would have said yes. I'm not going to lie to you, but this is what she lives like. Right. And here's the thing, like it was a study or something. And they said, and maybe it was a joke meme, I don't even know, but it's real to me, that she's doing 2.5 times what any job that any man would do. Because if you think about it like that, there's nowhere on the planet, no matter how hard I'm working, where I've got the kids running, unless I'm with the kids and trying to do all this. But
and you are really good.
But mostly on a
credit where credit is due.
But
for the rest of you men.
But yeah, okay. So let's pretend I'm not working at home and doing what I'm doing right now. Let's pretend it was like the old days working at the gym. Yes, I had my son with me doing my thing, but come on, I didn't do all the work with the kid. The girls at the gym took care of my son's diapers and things like that. When you came around, you helped all the time, right? Like,
and way back to the meme, because people don't understand the history.
Sorry. So the whole point is this, that she's doing so much more than a man thinks. I provide, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. Really? Because your day starts at this time and ends at this day. And by the way, if you're an entrepreneur, I don't fucking care. I work more than you. I know it. Who cares? Right? So and maybe I don't. Who cares? Because you still have to be a parent. You still have to show up and pick up after yourself. You don't. But almost always you don't have your kid hanging off you, or kids. Sometimes 3 are climbing on Catherine while she's trying to text a client and voice note another one, and then talk to me about something that we need to do with an ad campaign or whatever the heck's going on. Oh, and by the way, a tree fell down in the storm right on our BMW. Like, come on, man. This is a mom's life, and guys fucking forget it. You don't understand.
I do love my vehicle.
Yeah.
I do. We lost everything in COVID, guys. We lost his vehicle. We lost his sports car. We call it a sports car, muscle car. The only thing we have left is my mom-mobile, and it's an awesome vehicle. I love it. Oh, I left my necklace at the massage.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so why is she taking the necklace off? What else came off the massage? You see, this is the old guy. The old guy would have been.
Yeah. Massage, yeah. We have to. Yeah. I want to address this. Kevin, was it all issues with RyanCassMorrow? No, of course. No. I had my own issues as well. What happened was he brought out my issues. And so I believe to this day, if I didn't meet him, I wouldn't have gotten to address the issues that were inside of me that I didn't get to address. I didn't know, like I'd flipped out before in relationships, but when families fail, the man.
We'll get to that in a second.
The pressure provided. Okay. Yeah. Kevin. Yeah. Just hold that. So, I believe that if I didn't meet him and we didn't go through what we went through, I wouldn't have gotten to address the things within me. So yes, I had other relationships. I can only think of a couple where I had some major freakouts. And I actually used to use recreational drugs. There was a few years where I would use some drugs. And so I got into some relationships where obviously there was some like fucked up shit that was going on. And so I can remember having some issues. Either I was using drugs or he was using drugs or both of us. And so there was some stuff that like, it was just different. Anyway, I definitely saw some anger stuff come out in some of those relationships, but I didn't realize that it was something that was in me. I always blamed the situation that I was in. And so then by the time I was in my 30s and I was with Cass, I wasn't doing any of that anymore. And I was able to address the things within myself. So when he was freaking out at me for a while, I didn't really freak out back. I was just like, whoa, I've never really had anybody put me in my place. And I felt really abused. I felt really like misunderstood, but I didn't really say anything because it caught me off guard. Eventually, I got to a place where everything in me that was bad was coming out. I was saying things that I wouldn't normally say, but it was all in me. He didn't create it. It was all in there. And so I treated him poorly as well. I still think that he treated me more poorly. Would you agree with that?
Oh, for sure.
But I did. And the reason I asked him is because perception is huge. But I still, I gave him a good run for his money as well. So I think that, no, it wasn't all him. I had a lot of things within me, but the beauty of it is that we were both able to address our issues. He also wouldn't have addressed his issues if he didn't get with someone that was as strong as I was. And I wouldn't have been able to address mine. And I believe that the real reason this all happened is because we're meeting couples who it's not nearly as difficult as it was with us. We have the same personality type. We are both very alpha male, alpha female. So if we can do it, anybody can do it. But no, of course, it's not all blamed on the man. Society might blame the man, but I mean, I think that depends on the situation.
Well, let me take Kevin here, because
Megan, yes, it is going to be weekly on Wednesdays.
Kevin has been an awesome fan for quite a while. Hey, Kevin, nice to see you on here. Yes, I'd love to address some of these things. The pressure of providing and protecting. I know you say it can't be understood until it's been on you, but I want you to understand this, that, yeah, I get it. Like, we were making $50K a month, and then we lost it. We were working 10 hours a week. So we were making $50K a month, 10 hours a week with a brick and mortar gym. And then we lost it overnight with COVID. Okay. Yeah. And we actually have a thing in my course. I actually talk about how Catherine got pretty upset with me one day. She's like, "You'd be more man if you were providing." And yeah, that was really hurtful. But you can look at it like the pressures on a man are really difficult, Kevin, or you can do what I did. I wrote 3 statements. I put them around the house, and I said, "I'm not more man when I make more money. I'm all man because I work so hard to recover and make more money again." And what happened was, my wife thought it was super hot. I got to work. I made more money. And my wife thought it was even super hotter again. And then we just kept on with our life. So you can look at it like the pressures are weighing you down, or you can use it to motivate you. So that's what I encourage you to do there. When the family fails, it's on the man. He's blamed. I think that you're right, but I don't think that you're right at the same time. Like, I think that the pressure, it depends who you're talking to. I want to do a reel on this week, actually, that's about that. Like, if you're wanting to lose weight, do you go talk to people and learn how to lose weight? Or do you go and talk to people and eat chicken wings over the conversation? The reason why I want to post this is because I'm doing kind of a big thing with sexless marriages right now. And I'm in a bunch of sexless marriage groups on Facebook. And everybody who's in that group is bitching and complaining all fucking day long. I can't understand it. I didn't ever go into those groups. I went into those groups to try to see if I could find clients, and I never used them. But the posts come up in my feed. And here's the thing. If you want to fix it, why are you sitting there in your pain? You might think it's the man that's being blamed. It's both of you. You either own you or you don't own you. Your spouse could blame you. Your family could blame you. Your kids can blame you because she said something terrible. Look at that. That's a blame circle. Who the fuck cares? Who cares who's blaming? If you want something different, and Kevin, I've read so many of your comments. I know that you don't actually think that way. I think you're just like sort of summarizing some of the things that you've heard and you've seen because you're into this space. But I know that you don't think this way. It doesn't matter who says what. Catherine could blame me all she wants for the first 2 years. That has nothing to do with why I made a change. What Catherine did was she opened my eyes. When she said, "It's not normal to fight all the time," it opened my eyes. That's not blaming me. That's opening my eyes. I could look at it like she's blaming me because I'm causing the fight, right? And it doesn't matter what the situation is, guys. Oh, they cheated. No, go back to what I said at the beginning of this episode. No, if they're cheating, they're not looking at you. That's your fault. I don't give a fuck. They have bad morals, but they still weren't looking at you. And so what I want you to understand is the blame comes with where you want to take it. If you just ignore it and use it as motivation, that's like anything else. Watch Alex Hormozy for 5 minutes. You're going to see. He's going to say every mistake you made is what makes you the next best thing in this world, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. There's lots of people you can look at for influence. So don't take the blame as a bad thing ever. I think everything that Catherine does, she blamed me tonight for throwing, it's not blame, but take it like blame for a second. You're influencing your children wrong, right? Sex, they're hearing the word sex nonstop because they keep hearing your reels. In your mind, you could take that as blame. In my mind, I took it like, well, I don't really want my kids to hear about sex all the time. Thank you for the constructive criticism. I want to make sure I do something different about the way I handled that, right? So it's up to you. If you lose your home, your cars, etc., society blames the man. Further to that, yeah, again, we lost everything, dude. And yeah, it was hard for Catherine, and it was hard for me. And she said those words, well, you'd be more man if you were making more money. That came from a place of fear. Let's just pause there for a second. That came from a place of fear. Did we fight about it? Absolutely. Was I pissed? Absolutely. But again, what are you going to do about it? When I realized that it came from a place of fear. Now, I'll be honest, it took a few tries. I had to get it through my head. It's not like I gambled the money away. It's not like I drank the money away. It's not like I snorted the money away. The government shut us down and we lost all that money overnight. We're still paying for furnaces for a house that we don't even own. What do we owe? Is it 20 grand, 30 grand? I don't even know. Like, we owe so much money from that past life, right? But
the furnaces alone were 20, 30 grand.
Yeah. So like, Yeah, you got to understand. I could be upset because it falls on the man. No, actually, that falls on Justin Trudeau and my government who shut me down. Or I could say, well, I spent too much fucking money. I bought too many muscle cars. I didn't need all those furnaces or whatever the fuck, and realize my wife's just coming from a place of fear. It's scary to lose everything overnight and get to work.
And also, that wasn't our only problem.
No.
Our only problem wasn't that we were struggling and just barely surviving. There were relational problems. And so I wasn't attracted to him and I didn't know why. And so when we learned some things and when I said that, I'd be like, well, yeah, you're not very manly. Of course I don't think you're manly. Of course I'm not attracted to you. I'm paying the bills. I'm stressed about the bills. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. My company is still alive. Yours is dead. No, it wasn't his fault. But that was just one of the symptoms of what was going on inside my heart with my attraction and what was missing in our relationship.
It's a good summary.
Thanks. And I don't necessarily think that Kevin is, correct with sobriety. Society. Society blames the man. I don't know. I think I'd need to have a conversation with you, Kevin, to see where that's coming from and where your heart is and where you're hurting because of something that happened to you in your life. Because I don't believe that society does blame the man for that. I think that society has expectations, and I think that women have expectations. But the reason that happens is because there are gender roles, whether or not you want to believe it, and whether or not you want to accept them. There are gender roles. Women carry babies, and most often. So if you were a man and you took paternity leave, then fine, that's great. But most often, women take maternity leave. Men have no interest in staying home for a year. And we're lucky in Canada, we get a year to 18 months. And in the US, I know you don't get that much. But women want to be home. They want to be home breastfeeding and co-sleeping and doing all the wonderful things that it's such a short period of life. Men don't even want to do that. So of course there's gender roles. You can't get up and do all these things when you've just had a baby. You've just had a C-section. You want to be doing some more cooking and some more of the cleaning. And maybe you don't want to do it, but that's sort of the role that you took because your husband is out doing something else. And so, yes, they're traditional gender roles, but they're traditional for a reason. Men love to be the provider. Women love to be the nurturer. That's who we were built to be. I was built to have children and to take care of my husband. Do I cook dinner every day? No. And do I have the laundry organized? No. But I'm also running a business. I'm the modern traditional mama, like we like to talk about it. And he also does way more with the kids than he has to. He could say, you wanted these children, you wanted these pets, I'm not going to help you. But of course he helps because he wants to be a partner. You can modernize all of these things. So yes, society may tell you something, but there's a lot of value in some of the things that society says. You just need to make sure that you take the pieces that need to be taken and leave what needs to be left. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to put it. Let's look at this here. The stresses and resentment of being the sole provider, homemaker, parent while involved with a narcissist alcoholic who thinks sex is the only thing that matters in a marriage is exhausting and a major turnoff. Well, Brandy, you're not wrong. In fact, everything you said there is 100% just one big automatic turnoff. If somebody's not involved, that's all I got from that is you're with somebody who's not involved. Mm-hmm. So if you're not with somebody who's not involved, if you're with somebody who's not involved, that means there's only one thing you can do is to lead by full-on example. Because, and I'm not sure where you're at, but almost never is somebody leading by a full-on example. You can do that, show up consistently for a little while, then you can start laying some boundaries because that's not healthy. Sounds like you're the only one in the relationship, and basically you have another child who actually wants to have sex, and nobody's sleeping with their children.
And if you are the main parent, you should not be the sole provider. I am totally fine, and I will support women that want to be the sole provider. If their husband wants to stay home with the children, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. I do question, the dynamic there a little bit because it's just not the norm. But if that's normal for you, then that's fine. But if you're the sole provider and you're the parent and you're tolerating addiction and narcissistic behavior, that's not okay. And that's not normal. And in our last live, we talked about, Cass said to me back when we weren't fighting every day and we started fighting every 3 days. And he was like, this is awesome. And I was like, this isn't normal. And he was like, well, why do you get to say what's normal? Why do you get to say what's healthy? And I was like, well, I just do. And so I'm just going to say that to you here. I don't know exactly why I get to say that this isn't normal and this isn't healthy, but it just absolutely isn't. I don't always have something. Maybe I'm a visionary too. I don't always have something that I can pull out of the research where I can tell you why this isn't okay. But if you are making all the money, you're supporting, like he said, you're supporting another child. There could be reasons. Maybe he's disabled. That would be different. Something happened. He had an accident. Maybe he has some severe mental health issues. That's also different. But there's also steps that you can take, that he could take if he chose, so that you're not the sole provider and you're not the parent. That is asinine. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I'm just going to stop now because obviously I'm getting a little fired up.
What she's trying to say is exactly, she's fired up on what I was saying. It sounds to me like he's literally providing nothing. Now, we don't know. We don't know your story. I'm not on the phone with him. Catherine's not on the phone with you. And sometimes people will send us actually 400 paragraph novels about their life. Please don't do that.
No, don't
get to know us before you give us your life story. It's kind of hard. But here's the thing. Like, without knowing your whole story, you give the highlights of all the shit. But if these highlights are actually real, this is all terrible. Of course it's a turnoff.
And of course you're stressed and feeling resentful.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
What you're feeling is valid.
Yeah, you can't go through. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you actually know. So it doesn't matter if you know fighting every day is not normal, like I didn't know. It doesn't matter if every 3 days, like Catherine said, is still not normal and you want to fight it. If you know what's normal, i.e. you're providing, you're taking care of the kids, you're doing everything plus putting up with this shit, and you got to talk about not wanting sex. I mean, come on. That's not going to be fun for anybody. Like, it doesn't matter if you're going to the park and you wish it wasn't raining and you want to go down the slide and not get your pants wet on the swing. I mean, come on. We can tell what's normal here. And that's the problem. Too many guys are too entitled, focused on too much of their shit with the way it should be, because it all boils down to, I want to talk my way into a vagina, when you got to pull your weight. And it's frustrating for me because I'll talk to some guys all the time and they just don't understand. Like, even if you're not pulling, like, you think you're a great dad? Really? Really? Like, are you sitting on the couch while she's getting everybody ready for church? Come on. Like, you're really.
Well, that's a good example. Can you go more into that? Not for us, but can you just go more into that just for someone that brought that up recently to me?
Yeah. So, like, think about it like this.
The church, specifically the church getting kids ready.
Oh, okay. Well, think about it like this.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
Okay, can I go?
Yeah, you can.
All right. So, so many times these guys think they're this great, great dad. And, I put the kids to bed. I read the bedtime stories and I'm helping out. Yeah. And after you ate dinner, you went right to the couch. After you saw that the kids puked all over the sheets, you're like, she's got this. Oh, it's a poopy diaper. Get away. Now, granted, I'll try to give that to Kevin every time I can.
But I've said that I'm the diaper changer.
But then there's little things that guys just can't pick up on. Like, yeah, it's her diaper bag, but who's fucking packing it? You know how many diapers go in it? You know how many times you're changing the kid. If you don't know how many times your kids need to be changed in a day, then you're not paying attention, dude.
You're not a good dad.
Yeah.
I don't care if you spend 10 minutes making the baby laugh for 15 minutes.
Honestly,
doesn't make any sense.
I don't care. I don't actually care if you spend like a full afternoon, you're doing all this great stuff, you're providing a roof, you're having a lot of fun, you're crawling on the floor. If you don't know how often and how many diapers you might need, I get this is.
I know it's a good one. It's a good one.
If you don't know how many diapers your kids needs, then you're not a good fucking dad. You need to be able to pack the diaper bag. Now, granted, I'm totally the dad that's like, hey, honey, what would you prefer with their food? And like what
He's
are we doing at
but
snack
that's
time?
I love to be in control of that stuff.
Yeah, she's got a master's of science in nutrition. She's planning their diets. I'm going to ask questions. Use your wife's skills. Another thing men don't have. That's a man at home, by the way. But anyways, so yeah, guys, if your wife's packing the diaper bag and you're sitting on your ass looking at your phone while you're going to church, getting ready for dinner reservations, all these kinds of things.
And then she doesn't even have time to do her hair and shave her legs. Do you want her to feel sexy and want to go to bed with you? Because if she can't do her hair, put on a little bit of makeup, shave her legs, and shave whatever else needs to be shaved, and put on a pretty dress, what do you think? Where do you think that's going to lead to?
So
I'm just saying.
We'll just say it like it
starts on Sunday.
Not a great
but
dad.
You can do it on Saturday night too, while she's getting ready for a date.
All right, guys. I'll tell you what. It's been a lot of fun. If you have no more questions, we're going to let it go for tonight. It's late over here on the East Coast. If you have any questions, fire them off real quick. Otherwise, though, we're going to do this every single Wednesday night. We'll keep the same time. I know it wasn't as busy as Friday, but you know what? Friday is date night for us almost every Friday.
And it's our 8 years of anniversary.
This week, yeah.
8 years meeting anniversary this Friday. When
she was starting to goo gaga me, even though I was an a-hole. But actually, she did tell me that. Like, what did you say to me? How do you even not have a sexual harassment charge against you or something?
I think I did say that.
Yeah, first day
you're
she
getting slapped with a sexual harassment charge for sure.
Who
was goo gaga flirting then? I believe that means you were. I threatened you with sexual harassment.
Well, I just responded because
So you see the whole story?
I was just about to say I responded because you were hot, and I just realized that that was totally supporting your case. So sustained. All right. You're awesome. Thanks for that. Congrats. Thank you on the 8 years, Megan. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun. We're going to keep doing this. We look forward to seeing you guys. And hey, if you want, DM us with questions. Have us. We'll sort of have things prepared and get ready to go. That's why we're able to come up with a topic to start today.
Me, guys. Women, stop messaging him with questions that he can't answer because he's going to say message Catherine. So
that's really what happens.
My personal Facebook that I run, it's Catherine Gabrielle Morrow. My business page is Catherine Morrow. I do have an assistant that runs that page, but she will direct you to me. Her name is Heart. She's not a scam. She's a real person. She's lovely.
Yeah, Heart is real. And so she's also messaging from the RyanCassMorrow page, which is still us. So Catherine's messaging from there. It just might look like RyanCassMorrow, but it's all of us, guys. But we'll direct you and we'll point you where you need to go. But yeah, women to Catherine
Gabrielle
to me.
Morrow.
And yeah, we'll rock and roll. Also, you can ask for our link trees and we'll send them over. CassMorrow.com. We'll send you everywhere. Just CassMorrow.com. We'll send you to Catherine's links, to my links, everywhere. And guys, if you can, please follow us on YouTube, RyanCassMorrow over there, Instagram. Let's blow this shit up. Let's tell the world how we can revolutionize marriage. Awesome, guys.
Love
All right.
you guys.
Well, thank you very much. We'll see you next